Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen here with life coach Linda Armstrong and psychic Rita Giganti. Today is Friday, August the 21st, 2020. It's 4 p.m. New York time, and wherever you are in the world, thank you for joining us for another episode of LOA Today, your daily dose of happy. And Rita and Linda, I've been getting email about the show lately, including messages from people who, Rita, you read last week. With some of the feedback on it. So I wanted to give some of the feedback to you about what we've been getting. And then we got a bunch of questions after that. So first one comes from our good friend Alyx King, who's a co-host here on the show. She says, so here's an update on the readings. They were correct about everything so far. First off, Kenny got his unemployment back today, on the day she sent this. Also, she says her surgery was canceled or postponed for now due to the fact that there was a pain between my shoulder and my stomach as of yesterday. That reference to what you were talking about. You asked me, does she have a pain there? And I didn't know anything about that. Right. She says, I somehow popped a lung and I don't know how I did it or what happened. They don't know what caused it, but they had to cancel my surgery. So now I actually have time to get that second opinion about her surgery, which, by the way, is for a hysterectomy. She says, I just wanted to let Rita know how grateful I am that she took the time to talk to me and help me and Kenny out. And just to reiterate again, she was correct. So if anyone has any questions about whether she's legit or not, tell them to talk to me.
That's very sweet of her. Very sweet.
And then the second one comes from Daniel and Ashley. And this is Daniel writing. He says, hey, well, thank you so much for sharing our question with Rita. We really enjoyed it. Ashley had never heard Rita or much of the show, and she basically fell in love with Rita and her personality instantly. So you have a fan, Rita.
Oh.
And Daniel says, music was a big part of my life for a long time. What I got out of this interaction was before I was feeling like I was lost and wandering, trying to follow my passion, not knowing what it was, and actually thinking I couldn't feel it. And now I know I was just overthinking it, thinking it should be just one thing and that it should be obvious. Since processing what Rita said, I've come to realize that I was already following my passions. Basically, if I feel like I'm writing, I'll write. And if I feel like playing guitar or writing a song, I'll do that when I feel inspired to do so. Now, having started listening to the Stream of David and the Stream of David podcast, I can see a cyclical element to my being inspired and interested in one thing and then losing interest and doing something else as a cycle of contrast and then manifestation, just like when we are in non-physical and get bored. So we decide to seek contrast and start the physical cycle again. When I wrote to you, we didn't have an answer from the doctors that we were waiting for regarding his wife. We got one last week, and Ashley is starting a new prescription, and I know she will be all about a new mindset. She is great with that kind of stuff. One thing she really liked was when Rita said they have a lot of help from the other side. We always knew it, but it felt really good to have the words said out loud and to get that confirmation. So thanks again. So another fan.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then the third one comes from Chuck. And Chuck said, thank you again for asking my question on the show. Thanks to Rita, Linda, and yourself for the response. I literally laughed out loud when Rita said that I loved my freedom. It wasn't the answer I expected, but man, was that right on the money. I am so glad that I found your podcast. I have mentioned and will continue to mention it to all of my friends who are into LOA. It absolutely helps to keep me on that high flying disc. And oftentimes I find that events in my daily life will sync up with various discussions on the show. I love when that happens because it makes the show resonate with me on a deeper level. So 3 great pieces of feedback. How about that, Rita?
Fantastic. That is fantastic. I want to thank everybody who sent the feedback because not everybody will do that. Take time. They were pretty lengthy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Our listeners go into great detail when they send messages in, which is great.
Yeah.
So first of all, I haven't really said hello to you guys. How are you guys doing, Rita? How's it going at your end?
Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good. We're dismantling my garage, and it was our space of healing, and now we're putting it back as a garage.
Oh, okay.
So
it's getting practical again.
They're getting practical again. I'm excited about it.
Good. And how's it going with you, Linda?
Going good, living high vibe, enjoying life.
Yeah.
And wearing a beautiful
even with
t-shirt
all the
today.
craziness going on and all kinds of shit that actually I could be looking at, but I'm like, whatever.
Now that's a great attitude. That's a wonderful attitude, because when you maintain that, well, we all know that when you maintain that attitude, doesn't matter what's going on, it goes right, which is the best way to go.
Yeah, because then you can just stream the energy that wants to flow. You know, you're not blocking it with all the nonsense about the limited points of view of whatever's there.
Yeah, yeah, no kidding. So, okay, let's get to the questions. First one's going to come from Chuck, who gave us that last testimonial there. He says, does Spirit see conditions improving for me anytime soon? I have great benefits. I work for caring people. I have pension, and it's the highest paying job I've ever had. But for a while, technology issues and a drastically increased workload have just been a lot to bear. So do things improve in the near future, or would I be better off finding somewhere else to work?
Yeah. So I see a job switch. It's not that he's not, it's not like, oh, let me quit this job and look for another one. It's let me actively look, because I can feel a job switch coming. So he needs to put his resume out there, because I feel like this place does not, I want to say they're not technologically advanced like some others. And so it takes up a lot of his, it also for him, he really is, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, very connected to when he works. Like, he takes it very seriously. There are some people that work and they just go, they work, it's a job. They don't really, he takes it very seriously. And if things aren't kind of lined up, has his ducks in a row, he feels out of sorts. And then that comes home with him. And then that's where he gets in trouble. So start actively looking for another job.
Okay, well, it couldn't be more direct than that. So moving on to Denise. Now, last week, she asked a question about whether she would get a new partner after her husband's death, if you remember that one.
Yes.
So now she's asking, I am wondering if I will be well off in the future so that I can retire.
Oh, absolutely. It's not so much she will be retired. She will retire and be very comfortable. But that's also coming from another source, like when she meets this person as well. There will be a connection there that will help. Yeah.
Well, that sounds good.
Yeah. So it's not like she's going to be totally on her own, although she would be fine on her own. That's not the issue. But she'll be very comfortable. That's not, like don't even have those thoughts, because they're not true.
All right. And before I go further, I also need to acknowledge Jeffrey also sent a little testimony. He says, I deeply appreciate Rita and her gifts. It has been an amazing affirmation that those of us with gifts are being called to use them to help others. So from Jeffrey to you.
I appreciate all of them. Thank you.
Okay, so now we got a very short question, and it's one of the tough ones. This is from Maureen. She says, do I have cancer?
What? Goodness gracious. So I can, does she say where?
She doesn't give me any other information other than her name and the question.
Okay. Hold on. So there's something is off in the body for sure. But I really feel like this is like a wake-up call for her, and that she needs to address it from a medical perspective, and also a non-medical perspective. Like both aspects have to be brought in, because this is something that is kind of brewing. Like this was brewing, you know what I mean? Like there's this energy to it that's and Spirit is saying this is a kind of a life changer. In other words, we're learning big lessons from this, and And this is her opportunity to shift it. Does she have the capability to heal? Yes, she does. She has to do the work. And so she will be working on all levels. And this is her opportunity. It's like the perfect opportunity for it to come up and heal, they're saying. She needs to heal. This is her opportunity to come up and heal. She's put this on hold for a long time, and that's why her body is reacting.
Okay. By the way, I need to put in the usual rejoinder that we are not medical doctors. Rita is not a medical doctor. I'm not. Linda.
I can see the energy,
Yeah.
but I can't, and they're not giving me, like, sometimes they come right out and say it. I'm not getting that this time.
Mm-hmm. So bear in mind that the information we're sharing here, we're sharing as non-medical people. We need to make sure that that's clear to people.
Right.
Obviously, Rita tries to give the best information she can, but Maureen,
well,
if you want medical information, you need to get a medical doctor to give you medical information.
Yeah, and I give exactly what I get. So just know, so that everybody knows that they won't give me any more, than what I'm supposed to get.
Right. Right. Exactly. All right. Well, then let's move on to Regina. This is actually Linda's client. And she says, what do you see happening if I were to cut ties with my mom and not continue to assist her, as she doesn't appreciate my help and pretty much refuses it in some aspects? It's very draining. I don't think I can keep this up.
Okay. So this is a past life thing. She's been, she's having to, okay, hold on. She's in need of healing this. Now, this is a matter of two things, Spirit says. It's a matter of either accepting her mom for who she is and doing it without any expectations, if she can. Mm-hmm. And that's a lot to ask, because when you can do that, you've done a lot of work on yourself. Yes. You understand? Okay. So she can take that, what they would call the high road, right? But Spirit is not saying that a break wouldn't be in order, because until she figures out exactly how she wants to handle her mother, because I'm going to tell you now, it can be healed in this life. Bottom line, it can be. But we need both participants. In other words, she can heal from this without even the mother changing, and I'll tell you why. Because if she can work it herself to heal her piece of it, it doesn't matter after that. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. What I really feel like is she needs a break. Her mom needs to know that something is like awry. More than, she's going to get more of a reaction by not kind of pushing back with the mother. The mother's used to this, dance, this tango that they're doing. And so let's just cut it and let her feel what it's like not to have her in the space anymore, doing this, doing that. And she has to not feel guilt. Here's the biggest piece, Spirit says. It's the guilty. It's, not doing it and then feeling really guilty about it because that's my mom. How do I not help her? Well, the lesson here is she has to help herself first. And then if she has enough left over and doesn't really care how the mother reacts, because I've done it and I've seen people do it, she can give of herself and be okay with it. If not, then no, there's no point in, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Being hurt over and over again. Yeah. Because there are no guarantees that the mom is going to change. She's a very stubborn woman. spirits.
I'll be interested to hear what Linda has to say. But as you were describing that, the thought that kept coming to my mind is the analogy of what they tell you, or the flight attendants tell you on the plane as you're getting ready to take off. They go through the whole routine about, where your exits are and seat cushions and all that kind of stuff. And they say, in the event of an emergency, put the oxygen mask on your own face before you put it on your child's face. The
Right.
idea being you have to be in a position to be able to help before you can help. You have to have something to give before you
Right.
can give. And if you've been drained of everything, you've got nothing left to give.
Exactly. That's why I say the break is necessary. Linda, did you want to add, hon?
No, it makes total sense.
Okay. Linda,
That's pretty straightforward
Linda
right
gives
there,
a thumbs
folks.
up.
All right. Well, then we'll move on to Lily. Lily actually has two questions.
Okay.
First, she says, will I ever lose the extra weight I've been carrying around? I just am not able to connect the emotional reason for it.
Did we have this last week?
It's similar to last week.
Okay.
Yeah. The last 3 weeks, we actually had questions about clutter. We haven't had a clutter question so far this week, but we have a lot of repetitions, I guess is the point.
Okay.
Do you want the second question, or do you want to answer the first one?
Let me hear the second.
The second one is also, will I continue to be with my boyfriend I've lived with for the past 5 years? He's a good man, but I feel my pattern is to settle and not wait for my perfect match or the man I deserve.
And that's the truth, 100%. And the reason why she's not losing the weight is because she's stuck in her pattern. Needs to get out of the pattern. There's no settling, because the settling just says to the body, oh, all right, we don't have to do anything. Let's just settle and we'll just leave it the way it is. If she really wants to lose the weight, she has to change her whole mindset, and there's no more settling.
She's in what's often called a comfort zone, although I prefer to call it a familiar zone because it's familiar. It may not feel comfortable, but it's very familiar.
Yeah. It's like a nice couch that you love, or chair that you love to sit in, and you don't know how to release it. Some of her issues around that relationship is what holds her from losing the weight as well. So she really needs to take a big look at that.
Is this something that perhaps she needs to reach out for help?
Hold on. Yes, because there's the self-esteem piece that needs to be addressed. And also they're telling me that, oh, this is interesting. They're telling me that acupuncture could help her.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. That's pretty specific.
Yeah. Came right in. Acupuncture.
Okay.
There's okay, thank you. Yeah. So there's other things the acupuncture is helping her with, not just that. So that's why they're saying acupuncture, because we could give another suggestion, but they're saying acupuncture will help with so many other things that are going on that she'll get double, triple what she was looking for. Has to be consistent though. Like, we don't go for acupuncture once and then think, oh, we're all better.
Done. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's not a one and done.
So it's a series of treatments.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what? I feel there's another aspect coming in too, about she's kind of almost just living other people's projections and expectations of herself. So if she were to really, so if it is disconnecting from whoever she's with right now, that could be a big chunk of that. Or just really what it's coming up for most of us these days is really going in within and finding your own truth. And just like that last one with Regina, when you were saying she needed to heal herself first, kind of, I don't know, that's just, I'm feeling like it's not all hers. It's like it's just piled up on her, and it's coming out in that sense of the body, the size of the body. She's holding a lot of stuff that it is not, projections and expectations. That's what's coming to me.
Awesome.
That's something you're famous for here on the show, pointing out, asking yourself the question, whose energy is this? Is this my energy that I'm feeling? Is this my thing that I'm feeling? Or is this somebody else's thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it could even go back to childhood or whatever, like things people said. I know my mom used to say to me, if I'm drinking soda, I'm going to have a big butt like Grandma Giovanelli, right? I carried that with me for so
What the
long.
frick are they thinking when they tell you shit like that, right?
I mean, really.
But then again, back
if you
then,
hear it enough, it becomes part of you. Like you're holding that, right? So then
Yeah.
that can of soda is putting like 5 pounds on your ass every time you drink one.
every time you pass the mirror, you're looking at your ass. It's like, wait a minute.
So it's a projection and an expectation. Like it came from somewhere else, not from me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Very good.
Awesome, Linda. Thank you.
Then we'll move on to Carla. Carla also has 2 questions. First one is, I would like to advance quicker in LOA. Could you advise on what is holding me back? And then the second question is there anything specific I should work on? Writer's block is preventing me from writing my book. How can I release and have the words flow?
She has a lot of anxiety around this, Spirit says. It's like she's so afraid, like once she opens the floodgates, what's on the other side. It's like she inches her way little bit, but she doesn't really allow herself to surrender to it. And she's stopping her. There's nobody else stopping her. She's doing it. So she has to, well, she doesn't have to do anything, but the suggestion is to journal to spirit what she feels, how she's experiencing her day, and also ask questions in the journaling. This and this has to happen for like daily. There's going to be days where she sits there for a whole hour. There's going to be days where she's there for 10 minutes. But this is what's going to open up the floodgates. And then all of a sudden, she's going to get all this information about, spirit, what she's got to write about, her life. I mean, I can see it all like swirling around her, and spirit keeps wanting to come in and like give her. And there's this fear, like, when someone, they think they see like a ghost or a shadow, and then they say, oh, that's it. Shut it down. I don't want to know. Right. That's kind of the fear around it. Like what's going to happen. And the best part of what's happening now is that it's not going to take a lot to do this. Like, I don't know. I mean, do you agree with me, Linda? It's like, you want to open up, you talk to spirit and you go, all right, let's go. And the minute you give them the direction that you want to go, they're going. There's like nothing stopping it.
Yeah, I think for me, what I feel like, and because she started out with, what was the part she said about LOA?
What could you advise me on what's holding me back? From understanding and applying law of attraction.
Okay. So, I mean, immediately what I got is, and I think it ties into everything Rita just said, is that she just has to be her truth, like to be that love that she is. Of course, it's a high vibration, right? So when you're holding that and being your truth and peeling away all those layers that she's been told of how it needs to be done, or you have to do it this way. I know when I first started everything I'm doing, you give too much of your power away to all these other people who you think are successful and have figured it out, but they did it their way. So it always comes back to, and what I get from my guides is there's no right way, find your own way and keep it simple. So how much more simple can you be than just to be your own truth and your own love? Write about that. And I mean, that's what the whole thing's happening right now with the 3D and the 5D stuff is It's time to just be who we are, right? Right. Be that, express that. I like that what Rita said about the journaling, because she's just being her, right? There's nobody looking at it right now. No one going to be judging it. She can just get herself out there. And I think probably the more she does that and owns her own unique way of being, doesn't have to be like anything else or anyone else. But when you can hold that higher vibration, that's when law of attraction is going to send you what's a match.
That's right. There is an aspect of, there are some people who are afraid of their own success and what happens when it comes. So there is an aspect of that there. So she has to ask herself why.
What better solution for a writer than a writing solution? I mean, this is basically inviting her to write down every day whatever she feels like asking spirit whatever. It's a good time to lay out what she's feeling. It's a good time to lay out what her dreams are. You just lay it all out.
And there's no censorship. She can just be.
That's it.
Exactly.
She doesn't have to use any punctuation marks.
Yeah, right.
None.
Just spew it out. Get it out there. You know, the other thought that came to my mind as you both of you were describing what's going on with her was something that I used to do that Joel Elston kind of helped me to get out of, which was I was very much subject to the idea of paralysis by analysis. I would constantly overthink things. I'd try to find every single detail for how I was going to get from point A to point B. I would try to work everything out in advance. And in doing that, I'd just kill myself. I would dissipate all of my enthusiasm, all of my energy. And when I stopped doing that, all kinds of stuff started to happen. It was kind of bizarre and bewildering at first, but stuff started to happen. And it seemed like it was outside of my control. What was really happening is I was manifesting stuff. But because I was no longer planning it all, it just would pop up. And one of the first things that happened when I did that, this was about 2.5 years ago. And it was when Cindy Chavez, Wendy Dillard, and Tom Wells, I invited all three of them at the same time on the same day to come join me on the podcast because I wanted to expand from a weekly podcast to a daily podcast. And as it turned out, all three of them that same day had been thinking about, gee, I really would like to start doing a podcast. And so they all answered yes. And from that point on, it just kept going. Now, what made it different that day is that was the first time I actually did something without thinking about it first. I just took my friend's advice and just said, okay, well, I'm just going to ask some people. And I got 3 yeses. And it's just, whoa, what just happened? Blew me away. Just blew me away.
It's awesome.
All right. So, okay. Now you got to be ready. We got 5 questions from our friend Alyx King.
One person, 5 questions?
One person, 5 questions. She's basically pulling all of her family in here and asking questions for people in her family. So this may be a little bit tricky. Maybe we do it one question at a time for you.
Okay.
So first comes some questions from her mother-in-law, Kendra. And the first question from Kendra is, will her son Michael ever leave her house? And if so, when and how?
Yeah, this is a tough one. I got to tell you, he's not motivated. He is not motivated. She's going to have to do a little tough love if she wants him to, get on his own because he doesn't respect the fact that this is her home and that he, at this point in his life, really needs to get himself together and, and be in his own space. But it's going to have to come from her. He's not getting up and walking out. He's got to.
You got to give him a push, basically.
Yeah, he's got it too good. He's not going to do it.
Talk about a familiar zone. That's a familiar and a comfort zone all built into one, it sounds like.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would just ask one question, and this is not an answer to that question, but it's a new question.
Okay.
For the mom-in-law, like, does she really want him out, or does she think he needs to be out?
Oh, good question.
Because society says by a certain age, your son should be whatever. So it's more like, I don't know, maybe Rita knows the energy behind the question, but that's what popped in is like, well, does she really want him out, or does she think she has to have him out?
Either way, it's got to come from her because like you said, I'm just picking up the energy around it, and that's what Spirit's telling me. So, and it may be both, Linda. It may be both.
Yeah.
It may be that, no, she really doesn't. And then and then the other part, and energy is energy. So he can feel that if it's both. So then it's easy to blame the other one and why it's not happening.
Yeah.
But I feel like it has to come from her. That's a great question. I hope she answers.
Yeah, like if she feels she's being taken advantage of, okay, then she just wants him out, right?
Right.
But what? Yeah, I don't know, just something around there.
Well, your question's a great question, I think, Linda, because
Absolutely.
ultimately, in any situation where there's something really unpleasant going on that continues, there's a payoff going on, and it's usually a
Yes.
hidden payoff. And what you're
Yes.
suggesting is let's ask the question, what's the hidden payoff here?
Yeah, great
Right.
question.
Or is it another expectation and projection that she's putting on him that keeps him from being on his own? Because maybe deep down she doesn't think he can be on his own. So that's projecting that energy onto
Mm.
to
I
him.
love
Maybe there's
that.
something with these, projections
Yep.
and expectations.
Damn it.
Th-
We
th-
gotta
This is
stop that.
this is what my wife Louise calls a 2x4 moment, because all the answers basically involve Kendra doing something, not Michael. This is where, that 2x4 is coming along saying, you better do something, otherwise you're going to get whacked.
Right. It took down a ton of them today. 2x4.
Okay. Second question, also from Kendra. She says, is our family cursed and how do we get rid of it?
No, not family. Cursed is not. They're not cursed. Absolutely not.
That's about as straightforward as you're going to get, Kendra. Sorry, it doesn't get any straighter.
Yeah, and if you think you're cursed, you're going to bring something to you that's not there.
Yeah, you don't want that.
If that's your belief system, that's one thing. But no, family is not cursed.
Okay. Third question, will our husband find a job and what should he be looking into for that?
Is this the mother?
This is the mother-in-law.
Oh, the mother-in-law?
Yeah, or future mother-in-law, because they're engaged right now.
So she's asking, will my husband find a job?
And what should he be looking into to get the job?
Well, I see a lot of desks. I see cubicles, but I don't think he's in a cubicle. It's just what I'm saying. He has to get. Oh, okay. He has to redo his resume and get a headhunter.
Oh.
That's how Spirit describes it. I'm just seeing like this office with cubicles, but I don't think he's in a cubicle. I think he's someplace else. They're just giving me a vision. And then they said, have him redo his resume and get a headhunter.
Okay.
Linda, you get anything on that?
Sorry, I was distracted because my dog's howling and barking. I put myself on mute.
Oh.
How to make a quick call. Oh, my husband and my son are outside. I'm like, can you take care of this dog? So I really didn't hear much of everything. Sorry.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. No worries. I just thought maybe you would want to just, you've been.
That was on what the husband should do or yeah.
Yeah. The question was, will he get a job and what should he do to look into getting one?
Yeah. I think partly it comes down to giving up the struggle around the thought of struggle around finding a job. Because when, again, it's that thing, keep asking the universe, where's this next job coming from? What is it I would love to do to bring great income to my family? Like just asking these questions and not trying to figure it out. Because when we get stuck in that subconscious mind and all that old programming and all these other stories about it's COVID and you can't find a job right now, when you align with those energies, you're going to get more of that, right? Yep. So maybe the thing is just to don't worry about it. Like I got stuff going on in my life right now that if I were to worry about it, I'd probably be a basket case, but I'm just not worrying about it. Right. And the more I hold that energy of just knowing I'm supported, I have this team, like, Rita's talking to her team right now of Spirit all around, the more peace that gives me. And as I'm in more of that peace of not trying to figure it out, like it'll just happen. I know I'm always protected. Things just pop up, these little solutions. Yeah. So that's all I can say about that.
Okay.
And then the fourth question, this one comes from her fiance, Kenny. He's the one who got back his unemployment. And he wants to know, this is kind of like an echo of the second question. He wants to know if there's anything bad in their house or anything bad following him.
I don't feel anything bad.
Okay.
No.
All right. And then the final, what?
Not feeling anything.
Okay. Then we'll just leave that at that.
I'm going to add something in there.
Go ahead.
Because I had Rita come to my house to see if there was any negative energies attached to it, because things were happening that what I realized. And she's like, no, there's nothing here like that. Well, what it was is the energy I was feeding to thinking there must be something evil or wrong here, because why is this problem still here? Right. So through all of that and things that I'm doing, I gave up even caring about it, really. And then all this other stuff is coming in, which gives me more reason to not fret over it and just know that it all works out. So they could just be feeding this idea or this thought that it has to be something outside of me, when we all truly create our own reality. So I would say, pay attention to what you're thinking about. And when you realize those thoughts are not supportive, do anything you can to flip to something that does support you.
Perfect. That's always good advice. Yeah, that's very good. Okay, well, you got 4 out of 5 done. Here's the 5th one. This, again, comes from the mother-in-law, Kendra. She wants to know if her dog's spirit are here or passed on, or do they know how sorry she is about the way baby girls passed?
The dog that, is that the name of the dog? Baby girl?
I'm guessing that's her reference to the dogs, but I don't know.
Okay. So
dogs plural.
Yeah.
Dogs plural.
Plural.
Yeah.
Okay, so what Spirit's showing me is that they sit at the foot of her bed at night while she sleeps.
Oh.
It's actually one that comes all the way up and sleeps between her and the man she's with. I don't know which one it is. I just seeing it.
Okay.
There's nothing to be sorry about. Like, I don't know what she means by that. Because Spirit says everything happened the way it was supposed to.
No.
Nothing to be sorry about. But they're with her. I mean, they're constantly with her. Like, maybe that's what they're feeling in the house that they think is, like, not good.
I don't know. Could be.
Because the animals come a lot. So I'm not feeling.
And animals don't think like us. They're here, they're gone. They're here, they're gone. They're here, they're gone.
Yeah.
They just live. They just live in the moment, and they don't hold grudges. And yeah. And if something around it where she feels guilty about whatever it was that happened, what Rita just said, everything happened exactly as it was supposed to be. Like, maybe there was something for her to learn in that experience, whatever that might be. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it all went according to plan. That's and. But I understand. I've experienced that guilt around an animal. I get it. But Spirit says you're wasting your precious energy by doing that, because the dog is absolutely fun, and they sleep on top of her bed at night. So
that's cute. I like that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we did all 5 for Alyx. We got some live stream questions if you're game for that. And now the first one comes from Josie, and I'm not sure if she's asking this just kind of in general or specifically when it comes to doing your psychic readings, but she says, what is your definition of trust?
I don't know if it means with Spirit or just in general, but
I don't know. I'd say go with whatever feels right to you.
Okay. My definition of trust. For me, trust is a feeling. I don't have words for it. It's like I have a knowing that I can trust something or I can't. So I don't have a particular definition for it. It's more like, there are just, and I have to tell you this, I had to learn, and I'm still learning certain aspects of myself to trust. So and that comes from a long line of familial shit that went down as a child that I have to clear. So there is always that sometimes I question, myself, like, should I trust my own instinct here? I've done so much work on it, but there's still a little bit left there. As far as the feeling for us, it's just a knowing that I have. So that I don't know how to put words to it. So I hope that helps.
That's pretty good. I think for not having words, you did very well.
Right. Okay, thank you.
I mean, speaking for myself, I think that my own definition of trust is it's that feeling of confidence in myself and in my relationships with others that grows with experience.
Yeah, I love that. That's great. I love the experience part. That's
Yeah.
good.
I would add too, is also just flowing with the energies, because sometimes it's trusting that feeling that doesn't feel right within you.
Oh yeah, that's
As
where the
an
real
as an
trust is for.
indicator, right? So
Yeah.
really
Yes.
just tuning in and feeling what feels right here, or asking the question, what is this true? Is it, is this something I can trust? And
Yeah,
feel it within your body.
that's right. You're learning discernment when you do that. So hopefully that helps her.
Good. Okay. And then we have some questions from Jeffrey. First of all, he says, can you give me guidance around a ceremony that is occurring this weekend in Montana and within hundreds of folks around the country? Is there an intention or vision that will help me focus more?
Focus more on the ceremony?
That's what it sounds like, yeah. Well, actually, maybe the rest of it's a follow-up here. Let me read the rest of it. He says, I thought this was a separate question, but this may be part of the same thing. Will I soon be connected to and surrounded by others who do the same work that I do? Will I be found by others who need my help to do their spiritual and emotional work? So not sure if that's connected or not, but there it is.
Well, he's this is interesting. Spirit says he's a little unique in what he does. They chose him particularly for his uniqueness in it.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, he will get connected to others that can that need his help, and that he gets referrals from as well.
Mm-hmm.
So he has to reach out to others like me and Linda and whoever to give them an idea and a bio and everything of what he does, so that we could all help as well. Because there are people I refer, to when Spirit says to me, not yours, goes to Linda, it goes here, it goes there, wherever it goes. Okay. So that's one way of doing it. The first piece, the minute you asked the question, I saw these mountains capped with snow. And there he is this is going to sound so strange, but there he is on a flying carpet.
I love it.
And he's flying around these mountains, and he's watching from above the people that are gathered to do whatever they're doing in this ceremony. And then he uses his mind, his hands and his heart to connect to the group. And he watches the energy as its vibration is moving up, moving around. He'll see changes of color. He'll see all kinds of things happening once he does that. I don't know what it is with the magic carpet. I don't know what it is that he's flying above it to watch it. And he's utilizing his energy. So I can see light coming out of his eyes, his hands. His eye, hold on. Let me just, Spirit showing me his eyes, his hands, his heart. Those were the three places where the light is coming out of, and how he's connecting to everybody else. And then it just unfolds after that. So he could start that vision now.
Okay. That's pretty detailed.
Yeah.
That's a pretty detailed image to hold in your mind for sure. All right, good. Well, I mean, we've ripped through these questions. I actually have a question of my own that I'll bring up in a moment. But before I do that, I want to remind people, if you have a question that you want Rita to answer, obviously she's pretty darn good at it. And if you want to have Linda chime in on it too, because she's pretty darn good at it too, we now have a way for you to do that through the LOA Today app. Here's a little promo for the app, guys. You know this one was coming, right? So,
yes.
Yeah, if you have the app, it's really simple. If you don't have the app, just go to your Play Store or your App Store and look for LOA Today app, and you'll be able to find it. And once you install it, there's actually a form in there, ask a question, and you can ask a question of anybody, you get a little checklist. You can click the person on the checklist that you want the question to go to, and it will automatically go to that person by email. I also get a copy if it's something like an Ask Rita question, so I can include it in the list here on the show. But take advantage, because we like having people ask questions. It's an energy raiser, isn't it, Rita? When you get these questions,
yeah, absolutely.
It just picks you up, right?
Picks you up.
So it's good
Yeah,
stuff.
Walt, we were going to deal with you today, Spirit said. So go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah.
you kind of caught me by surprise last week, because I'm reading the questions and you're answering with all these great answers, and then all of a sudden you give me a message. I'm thinking, when I told Cindy Chavez about it on Wednesday, and she says, "I can just imagine what you felt like." It was like, okay, do I really want to hear this?
Is this about the radio?
The radio station? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I gave it thought after that. I mean, at the time, I wasn't really sure what to react. I mean, my instant reaction was, yeah, it'd be great to have all this audience and all this kind of stuff, and more connections with more people and more questions coming in for you guys. And yeah, I mean, I loved all that. But as I thought about it, what I realized is, it isn't so much that I have this driving desire to have a radio station or a TV show or a radio show. I mean, I would love to have all those things, but that's not really my biggest driver. My biggest driver is to reach a larger audience. Whatever it takes to reach that larger audience. Because, I mean, let's face it, when you have the audience, you don't even have, it's not like you have to go find a radio station. They find you if you got a big enough audience. You don't have to go find a TV show. They find you if you got a big enough audience. So
right.
I don't really need the TV show so much. I need the audience more. I desire having this growing, ever growing, expanding, mammothly expanding audience, because that just brings in more energy.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm looking for.
So last week when they came in and said that, they were giving you the potentials of what can be.
Oh.
Now they're asking you, because they think you are very savvy at this. So they're saying, how do you expand that you can get more people? How do you do that? Do you get a marketing team? Do you get a, someone that can, I don't know what you call them. You know what I mean?
Well, we lost you.
We lost your video there for a second.
Someone from San Antonio is trying to call me. What a nerve.
Oh.
This, because one thing like that, a marketing thing, or someone that can put you on the map, one thing will change it. And then all of a sudden, you're on the map.
Okay.
So it's those things that you got to start thinking about, because that's what's going to give you a radio station, a TV thing, whatever it is. So last week, I know they sprung it on you.
Yeah, no kidding.
Without a lot of information behind it. And then when you asked the question, I got the email and I said to Spirit, all right, well, you sprung it on him. What are we doing?
Yeah, right.
Give me some, and this is what they mean by that.
Okay.
So they're showing you your potential, and you can take it as far as you want, they're saying.
All right.
Because there's room for it. And what that means is, in this life, you set this up already. So you already have the room to do it if you desire. So now it's, how do we get a bigger audience?
You know what? I will add to that.
Please do.
And it's funny because this came back on my radar in this past week.
Okay.
There's this astrologer. He goes by the Leo King. He has a YouTube channel, right? The Leo King. Mm-hmm. And he has a network. So if you go to highvibe.tv, you can subscribe to his network, which is basically an app. And it includes all of this stuff. And some of the things he'll put up on YouTube, because it brings more people to the app. Mm-hmm. The subscription to be in the app is really cheap. It's like $11 a month, and cheaper if you do 4-month and 6-month plans, that kind of thing. Right.
Yeah.
And on his app, not only does he have the stuff he presents by himself, he has shows where he's with this group of people. He has other astrologers besides himself who will do weeklies and dailies. And so you can go onto his app and get tons of stuff through this thing he created. And I'm sure it didn't start out where it is now. So it's almost like your app you already started is like the beginning of something like that, where you form your own network through the means you're already doing.
Yeah, that's what I had in mind when I first created it. Yeah.
And just look at that High Vibe TV. It'll probably spark some ideas within you.
Okay. Yeah, I'll take a look at that.
Highvibe.tv.
Highvibe.tv. Okay.
Or then you can also go to The Leo King on YouTube.
The Leo.
Now, Walt, do you have a YouTube?
Oh yeah, we live
This is
stream to YouTube.
streaming to
Yeah.
YouTube.
It's streaming on YouTube.
Yeah, that's how Jeffrey and Josie and others are connecting in. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, so I'm just thinking of another way we can. I'm trying to think of, and I'm not going to think because I'm just going to let Spirit bring it. When I think, nothing happens. Yeah, so this is, they're excited because you've come so far, Walt, and they are so pleased because you do follow, like you're so eager to follow and help Spirit. And your guides are just so proud, honestly. You've done a great job.
You're putting a smile on my face right now. This is nice.
Yeah, you needed to hear it because, you need to know that you're appreciated by them for what you're doing.
Wow. Yeah, that feels great.
Yeah.
That feels really good.
Getting a little teary-eyed now.
Yeah, just a little. Well, also, I mean, my approach all along, up until the point where I actually started building the app, was simply to do it energetically, to just keep putting out there and letting the law of attraction deliver listeners to me, which it has done. I mean, it's only like, what is it, 2.5 years ago, I was getting maybe 80 to 100 listeners an episode. Now we're up around 600. That was all energetic.
Yeah.
And it's great. I love it. I'm just looking for what can I do to get more out of my way, or, amplify it, or do whatever I can to just speed things up even faster.
So, yeah, because I'm looking at it triple by next year.
Okay.
So I don't know what you're going to be doing, but I'm looking at, for some reason I saw 1,800.
Well, triple puts me into the listener range that I've always thought would make it easier to start drawing in funding.
Okay. Gotcha. I didn't even realize that could happen, but yeah, that's where we're going. Yeah.
I mean, go ahead, Linda.
I was just saying that's what the highvibe.tv is. It's a subscription-based service where some of it's free, but some of it's paid, and it's not even a lot of money, but it helps people so they can keep informed with things like what we're talking about all week long. Yeah.
Yeah, and if we want, we want to brainstorm a little bit with each other, next week about what we can do, other things that we can do to get people to want to listen. And maybe, it would be really good if people, I know people love this, the question thing, but maybe if there's a topic that people want to talk about, that we can,
yes,
create a lesson plan, whatever it is that, that would be fantastic.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the cool things that has happened. I've gotten a number of co-hosts this way. I've gotten guests to appear on the show this way. People just coming up and saying, I've got this, I've got that. I mean, Josie, who's in the live stream, she's a poet. She just came onto the show one time just to read some of her poetry. And it was really very light and positive and good feeling stuff. It made for a great show. It was wonderful.
Fabulous.
That's the kind of thing that people have been doing. And to me, that's like, that's always, every single time, a way of kind of reinforcing for me the law of attraction works. The law of attraction really is delivering as I continue to stay in the flow of that vibration. It just keeps bringing more and more stuff out of the blue, surprisingly. Also, I got to tell you guys a story. This is really funny. I was doing a show yesterday with Dan Mangana. Now, Dan is the one who donated the ebook called The Money Game. And in brief, The Money Game is basically a way of training you to believe that stuff has always come every time that you ask for it. It's a way of just building up a series of positive results. So you just start having an expectation. Oh yeah, whenever I ask for money, it shows up. So a week ago, I said on the show, okay, I'm going to put out a challenge. I'm going to start doing the money game. I'm going to do all 15 of his steps. And I'm going to ask any listeners who want to join me and send me an email telling me you're joining me. And I had like, half a dozen people or so say, yeah, I'm going to join you. So we're all doing this thing, right? So that was last Thursday. Saturday, Louise and I are at the beach, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe I should get started on this thing. I did put the challenge out there. So I got out my phone and pulled up the app, and I'm reading through in the book. And like, oh, yeah, okay, got it. Got to the first thing to do. Okay, here's the first thing to do. Wrote down on the piece of paper what it was he wanted me to write on the piece of paper. I did all the steps that I was supposed to do. And basically, he has you start off with a very low dollar amount to ask for. So I asked for $10. I figured that was a good, easy one to go for. So I put it down. And then he says, okay, now put it aside. Don't ever look at the paper again and forget about it for now. And so I did. And then the Thursday show comes along, and I'm realizing, I haven't really gotten the $10. I wonder what's going on here. So I brought it up and I said, so Dan, I mean, just to get a little conversation started, I put $10 down. The $10 hasn't shown up. And he says, well, so what? I said, yeah, I mean, it's going to show up when it shows up. So that kind of ended that conversation real quick. Well, I woke up this morning, and as soon as I woke up, I said, oh my God, I got the check 4 days ago and I didn't connect it. I got a check from my insurance company for $13.48, I think it was. Unexpected, totally out of the blue. And I blew it off. I didn't even connect it. And then to make matters even better, the same insurance company sent me another check that arrived yesterday for $41 before I even got my second ask in.
And you know why that happened? So people can see how when you let go of having how it has to come in, it'll come in. And then you have to pay attention to it.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Acknowledge
well, you passed the 40 mark. That's it. Next.
Let's shoot for 100.
That's it.
But you know what it actually did? It reinforced for me. We forget to look for our own manifestations.
Or not to look for it, to acknowledge it when it comes in.
To acknowledge them. Yeah, that's what I meant to say.
You can look for it and you can keep looking for it forever.
Looking for it is the wrong way. Notice them when they show up.
Yeah,
is what I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah.
And then having gratitude for that.
Before we end, I got a great thing to share about this, because most people wouldn't believe something like this, and it's okay if you don't. But I know someone that I won't mention names or anything. I want to tell the story because I think it'll help people. And does this kind of work, right? Psychic work, and can actually channel like your friend does, and everything changes, the voice changes, the whole thing, right?
Right. Yeah.
And she had a box in her closet with money in it, and she noticed that it was getting lower, right? And so, she was talking to Spirit about it and this, that, the other thing. And they said, it's okay, don't worry about it. Just keep going in there when you need the money. Well, the money never ended. Every time she went in, she picked out a 20. Every time she went in, she picked out another 20. And it just was there every single time.
Wow.
And I think to myself, where's my fucking shoebox? I need one. I need a shoebox. So, just so you know, shit happens. And don't be afraid. Right. Don't think, oh, it can't happen to me. Yeah, it can happen to anybody. Anybody.
Hey, Rita, I know you got to go quickly, and we'll have a minute or two to finish up the show, but we're looking forward to talking to you next week, and have a great weekend. Yeah. Keep that high vibe going too, because you're going to need it. Next week, we're going to have more questions. I have a feeling.
Love you guys, and love all the listeners, and have a fabulous weekend.
All right. You too. Take care of yourself. Okay. And I got to ask you too, Linda, I mean, because you chimed right in on that story that I was telling there, and you jumped in saying that's what happens. I mean, it's weird when it happens because it seems to come out of the blue, but it's also weird because, like we said, we don't always notice it. And when we don't notice it, we can't acknowledge it. And when we don't acknowledge it, we can't celebrate it. And celebrating it is what makes the next one come.
Absolutely. Yeah. What you focus on grows, right? So that's why gratitude works, because when we give our attention to, because sometimes people don't want to notice a little thing because they're looking for all that big stuff.
Right.
But you keep acknowledging all these little, even like the fun of a butterfly going past your face. I mean, okay, great. It all just raises your vibe. And then you get more awesome things to notice.
Mm-hmm.
right? So we're like, oh, $10 from an insurance company, big deal. But then you're forgetting about the whole game that was all part of why it showed up then.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the interesting part about that too is when Daniel tells his stories, he of course has tons of stories of what people have experienced playing the game, including some really massive gains on like asking for $10 and getting like $50,000 and stuff like that. You know, just wild, crazy. I mean, one of the best ones that he told me about was a client of his who manifested a $10,000 income tax return refund on a return she had not yet filed.
I love it.
I mean, that just blows you away. Yeah.
Magic's everywhere. We just need to tune into it.
Yeah. I'll tell you another one that he told me about too. This one, I was asking, what's the best one, the most wild manifestation out of the clear blue that you know, the hardest one to explain and so forth. He says he once signed up for one of these network marketing things, but didn't do anything with it. He couldn't even tell you what the product line was. The only thing that ever happened is he signed up for it. They gave him that link that you give out to people when you're trying to make the sales and so forth. And he forgot about it. He never did anything with it. He can't even find the link. But every month he gets reports on sales that he made.
Yeah.
On a program he doesn't even do.
Yeah. I love it.
And every once in a while he gets another report saying, oh, there's another sale.
Yeah, but isn't that a great example of putting something out there and just letting it go? Let the energy feed it however it wants to feed it.
Exactly. Yeah. That's really cool stuff. So, all right. Well, this has been good. This has been really good. Rita really hit a few home runs there. But I want to remind people, first of all, the way to reach out to Linda and to Rita is through the app. So if you want to reach out to them, do that. If you want to ask a question to be asked on the show, do it through the app. Either way. And also, I wanted to find out, is there anything specific you have going on, Linda, that listeners need to know about? I know you were regularly putting out videos and so forth, but are any courses coming up or anything like that?
No, I just did put out a video that's all about just being loved. Like, how do you survive in the world of like COVID and everything going on when craziness hits the fan?
Okay.
Just
that's good for everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, just have to be loved. Just go to my YouTube channel, Linda Armstrong, and you'll find me.
Because we're all dealing with that right now, and it's important to have strategies like that we're applying all the time. So all right, good stuff. Well, I hope you have a great weekend too, and I'm looking forward to doing the show again next week. So take care of yourself, and thank you also to our live streamers. I saw a question coming from Edgar. I missed that one. I will make a note of it and include it in next week's show. But thank you for trying to get in at the end, even though it was a little bit tight on the end there. But thank you very much. And also thank you especially to our podcast listeners, including those who have been sending in the questions. And we hope that those questions the answers to those questions have been helpful to you. So thank you guys very much. We'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.